Why, hello everybody. I came out in the garden today to do a little bit of work, and I saw that my beautiful curly purple kale, one of my tall ones, was leaning, and when I checked it out, it didn't look good on the trunk. I think it had fallen over and I kind of pushed it up, and maybe a rabbit or a squirrel chewed it. I'll show you. But let's go on the other side and I'll show you what's going on. It's no big loss. I just wanted to share this with you and ideas on if you've got something like this, you'll know what to do. So let's go walk around on the other side and see what it looks like. So I was going to stake up my beautiful purple kale very easily. All I have to do is stake it up here, but look at this. Something either chewed it, damaged it. We've had a lot of rain. The dilemma is, what do I do? It's trying to grow. Look at all through here. But I think the best thing to do, breaks my heart, I like it. It's like 6 feet tall. I think I'm going to trim it because look, I mean, it is struggling to grow to the top. And if you see it, I'm holding, sorry about this because I am holding the camera and the plant. There's really not much left to it. I guess there is a good 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch. If I trim it back, I've got all this new growth coming in here, and look at all this. This is all new growth. And look how beautiful the new growth is. So I think as far as what I'm thinking, as beautiful as it is, it won't be a loss. I could take a good portion of it. I may be able to actually go this far down and trim off some of the bottom leaves, put it in a pot, and let's see if it roots. And as far as the rest of it, I may be able to do the same thing where I trim it. When I trim it down here, or wherever I decide to trim it, I may be able to grow the stalks. You know, I have nothing to lose. So if I cut some pieces and put them in soil, and if they take, then I have another beautiful purple kale. I mean, it's so beautiful. Look at this. Let me let go of this. It's been leaning on my solar panel there. But yeah, it's bad. Hear it? And yet it's alive. I mean, look how beautiful the other side is. It's so purple. So if I wanted to leave it, I could get some more little ones off of it. But I think the best thing and the most logical thing, doesn't mean I'm logical all the time, but the best thing to do would be to trim this back because it does have beautiful growth from the bottom. See, there's one, oops, there's one there, there's one here. This would all just take off. I could cut it here and let's see. Yeah, that would be the tallest, would be maybe right here. Even though a lot of this is, you know, wanting to grow, all these little ones, the problem is the damage is all through there, and that would get rid of the damaged part of the plant. I think I will do that. And then the bottom will come back. This is another plant. See all the little shoots? All these could be trimmed off and turned into new plants. This one, on the other hand, I staked it up with masking tape. You know, this masking tape is like 6 months old, just so you keep track of that. This one's doing really good. Now, it is silly to grow it like this because, I mean, you get more growth when you keep it down and low and keep trimming it, but I like it. I personally like the look of it. So this is beautiful. Interesting, the birds don't chew on the purple kale. Purple doesn't attract them, they like the green. But this is doing really good. It's got a little wave here, and the reason it has a wave is it probably fell over and I didn't get to it in time. So when I staked it, it kept that kink, its character. And it's doing okay. So it's coming from the bottom, and this one too is at least 6-7 feet tall. So I'll leave this one, and we will trim back the other one, and I'll get that in a pot. What I'm going to do with this, and I'll show you, I'm just going to trim it, and I'm going to put it in a pot, and I'll probably have a saucer of water underneath so it stays damp. Not the soil itself. It's not going to be waterlogged. It's just that it won't dry out. And I'll take all the bottom leaves off. They're kind of powdery anyways, kind of like a powder mildew. the top are beautiful. And we'll get that growing, and I'll cut it to about here, and I'll cut a couple units off in the center and see if they make it. Isn't that beautiful? Eggplant. And this, you compost that. So I think let's get that going and see what it looks like when it's all potted up. And then we'll keep an eye out on the bottom part and see how it goes. Isn't that interesting? The very bottom is green. The bottom is green, kind of. It's turning purple. But the top is more purple. Different parts of the plant has different coloring to it. So you would take cuttings off the purple if you wanted to keep it as purple as possible and work with the purple. And that would be the thing to do. So if you wanted more purple, you just take the real purple cuttings and make sure you get that going. All right, let's get this trimmed up because it doesn't need a lean like this. We've got a rainstorm moving in, like usual, and get this going before the freezing weather comes in anyways. And this will give this plant a whole lot more energy down here, because right now this plant is sending all its energy through that little bit of bark that's still good on this side, and it's really working hard to keep the top part alive, where in the meantime the bottom part, which has got a lot of growth on it, there's a whole lot of plants down here, it's not struggling, but this will really take off. In fact, this will be very bushy once I cut it, because there's so many cuttings down there, and get all the brown leaves off. Yep, I think I'll clean this up. Okay, so here we go right now. I'm gonna trim my beautiful purple kale. There's a lot of names for this kale. They call it curly red kale. Some people call it Russian red kale. This actually isn't Russian red. From what I understand, it is a hybrid. And if it is a true hybrid, then even when this goes to seed, I won't get the true purple color. It's possible it could go more green. It may not get the color that I want. So with anything that you really like, it's super, that you think this is the greatest plant, if you can propagate by cuttings, that's the best way to do it. As far as some of the plant on the bottom being green, there are some succulents. I think it's called, one of them is called the black rose. It's very odd. From what I understand, that if you put it in full sun, it will get real purple. If you put it in partial shade, it will get green with purple. And I think that's what's going on the bottom here, that the reason it's actually green and purple on the bottom is the very bottom is being shaded by the tree colored, by the tomato plant, even by the mother plant itself. So it's not getting the full purple color, where this is in full sun, when we have sun, and it's getting the full color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go probably right there. Here we go. There we go. I will trim off more of the leaves, but that's beautiful. And we hope for the best. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You have nothing to lose. But this plant really does need trimming because it's so damaged. Now, as far as the stalk, I'm going to try to do a couple more cuttings on it, and maybe it will grow. But we want to get off all the damaged part. This is so damaged. Now, I know this is badly damaged here, but since I have nothing to lose, I'm going to go ahead and try to keep the nicer part up out of the ground and see if any of these will grow. And let's see what else. Might trim off a little bit more, and this I'll probably compost because it's really too far gone. So this will just compost it back into the ground. And this is going to give this plant a whole new start. And now the bottom ones that have been struggling, geez, these are good enough to eat. The bottom ones should start to really take off, and then I could end up with some more tall ones like I've got. I think that's good. Just put put that down there. The critters will eat up what's left of that. And now we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see if we have to trim any more off. But this should now give this plant on the bottom all the nutrients, all the, the food will go to the plant on the bottom. The plant will concentrate only on the bottom because the top is gone. And hopefully we get another plant out of this, because that's the true way we're going to get this rich purple plant. Let's go over to the table and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So here we are at the table. I decided to go with holes on the bottom because I want to plant this possibly on the ground, and if I decide to leave it in here, I can let the roots go out the bottom. If I was going to put it on my deck, I would have probably put the holes on the side, but being that they have the capability of getting 6, 7 feet, 8 feet tall, I decided to go with the holes on the bottom. I can always pull it out and change it later if it roots and it's successful. So we'll see right now. For now, that's the way I went with this. So what I did was I put a bunch of collared leaves on the bottom, and that will keep my soil from falling out. Plus it will feed the plant. And what I did here was I just went around, because we have so many wood chips and stuff, I went around and I just collected broken down wood chips, so a really good compost mix that's been totally broke down in our yard. Now you can use potting soil for this, so don't worry about it. I use both. If I've got potting soil, I use potting soil. It's whatever you want to use, but you want a fairly good soil. And that's pretty much it. You want to make sure it stays wet. Don't let it dry out. And the reason you don't want it to dry out is you want to make sure it sets root. And that's pretty much it. I'm just kind of breaking it up and making it, pretty good. I can mulch the top with something. So you could put maybe grass clippings or wood chips, or don't do anything. Now this one's got a lot of leaves, and so what I am going to do is remove some more of the leaves. Grab my cutters. It doesn't need all these leaves, and I'll either eat them or I will compost them. What I want is I want this plant to concentrate on developing a good root system. If it develops a good root system, then I've got another plant for free. I mean, that's the best way to get a plant that you really like. I might start with that many leaves. I don't think it's going to bother it. And then all I'm going to do is push it. Let's see, let's take my handle here. And I'm going to put it down about that much. I want to make sure it gets a good root system to it. It doesn't matter how much you put it in, but I would give it a substantial amount so it has a chance to develop roots along the sides, because that's where it's going to develop roots. Now, if you're going to do cuttings like this, the best thing to do is when you cut it, remember which way is up, because these little nodules of growing new plants, they're going up. So if I plant it upside down, it may not make it. It will stress out and probably die. I mean, I guess I could lie it down and hope for the best, but it probably wouldn't root that way that well. So I'm going to do the same thing, and I know this way is up, and I can actually see the little plants growing up. And those are the new side shoots, and I'm going to put all 3 in here. Like I said, once it roots, it's really easy to transplant. So I'm going to put that down. Don't worry about the little ones growing on the bottom. You'll just take those off later. Same thing here. I see they're growing up that way. Now this is the part that's really rotten, so it may or may not make it at all. But like I said, I have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. Now, if you got vermins, and sometimes we do, we're out in the hills, and you're afraid something's going to bother it, especially when they're starting out. Let's say I'm going to use this basket and I want to cover it. Well, this doesn't fit. And I've tried, I was sticking stakes in, let me show you. I was going nuts and sticking stakes in and hoping it wouldn't tip over. It took me till the other day to figure out I can cut these. They cost me $1, and these last for years and years. Like I said, they last so good that some people dig holes and drop them in the ground and put them underground to keep the gophers from getting their plants when they have a gopher problem. This pot is the same size as that. I drop it in and I see, oh, I've got to cut off about 1, 2, about 3 triangles, and that should work. If it doesn't work, I cut off a little more. So I just cut it off, go all the way around. Now, no wire was breaking off or flying, otherwise I would say use safety glasses, and just, you know what, maybe you should use safety glasses anyways. Now, I can leave this in my garden. Look at this. Maybe I want to turn this right now so I can get the wire on. And this plant will have a better chance of surviving because nothing's going to bother it. That's it. Now, of course, when it gets taller, then yes, you can't use the basket. But up until now, this is perfect for cuttings. Any cuttings you want to do. Collard works the same way. If you want to take a whole bunch of collard cuttings, especially tree collard, you could do the same thing. This gives it an extra protection. And now if you wanted to, you could stick a little ornament of some sort to hold it. I have found, since I'm not dealing with dogs knocking them over, that the squirrels, the rats, the mice, maybe raccoons, nobody's bothered with this. They come over to it, they see a wire, they leave. I haven't had anybody take it off. Rabbits, that's not saying they can't take it off. You can get creative, and you could even, well, you could put it on, make holes and tie it on, but then you can't get to your plant. You know what? This has got way too many leaves. I still think it needs less leaves. It might struggle. I'm actually going to take these leaves in and make a stir fry and use it. These leaves are beautiful. But that's it. You know, I want to turn everything in so I can put the wire basket on good. But look at that. These wire baskets, they come in black and white. I prefer black. The reason I prefer black is, see how it kind of disappears and white kind of stands out? This is rusted. This is about 2 years old already. But I like black. I think I got the white because they didn't have black that day. But they're so cheap. And you think about it, for $1, yes, you can put tulle around and make something and spend an hour trying to do something. This is instant, and you know what? When you're done with this one and you're on to the next pot, you got the next one. So you just move it. And this you could put anywhere. The main thing is keep it wet. I may put a saucer of water under this right now to make sure this stays really damp. You don't want it waterlogged. The plant isn't a water plant, but you want to make sure, it's like rooting something in a glass jar. You want to make sure that it stays damp. And once it's got a root system starting, probably in a couple weeks, you wouldn't have to worry about it. I might even stick some tree collard in here. Once it starts to root, they're really easy to transplant. They're really a forgiving plant. Technically, if I thought about it in a few days and I wanted to plant it somewhere else, I could pull it out and move it. They don't seem to mind moving. But I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to put my basket on top. I can now sit it wherever I want, in the garden, on a table. I could use this to layer on top of my compost in place. I've talked about that in all my videos where I compost in place. I love putting a pot in my compost bins, on my compost in place bins, because this holds the humidity, underneath. It always will stay damp. So if, on hot days, if you forgot to water, it's always going to be wet under the pots. You know how you can lift pots up and you see earthworms and it's wet? Even if you have cement, you lift it up and you see earthworms, you see it's damp, the cement is wet. That's because the water can't evaporate. Everything will evaporate except for here. It can't go anywhere. So it stays under the pot. So this is perfect. You could do so many propagating cuttings and then just sit this on top of your compost bin. And so what if this starts to set root and it goes into your bin because it knows, wow, there's so much food in the bin, we're going to set root and go straight into the bin. You can rip it off. You'll pull it up and you'll hear it go. And you'll rip the roots. But you know what? You move it, it will set new roots. It won't hurt anything. So you've got so many things you could do with pots like this. And now that I figured out I can cut these, I could be doing all kinds of stuff, and I will be doing all kinds of stuff. These pots, I get them from a florist. I know a lot of people ask me. If you know a florist in your area, go there, ask them, because when they get their flower deliveries, they get these pots, and these are throwaway pots. Try any florist you know. If you can't get them, you can use flower pots. And Dollar Tree, I went to Dollar Tree, they've got the same pots. When I went there, they were brown, and those will work perfect for this too. And they also, the 99-cent store, Dollar Tree, even other dollar stores and bargain stores seem to carry these wire baskets. You can go to places like your office supply stores. They do have, this is a wire trash can is what it is. They do have them, but they're more money. They might be a little bit better quality, but you don't need the better quality for this. That's up to you, but you could check it out. But that's it. So now, let me go find a place for this, and that's how you cut it. You'll see how much to cut it, and it's that simple. So with that, have a great day. Don't forget to propagate, because remember, that's how you get the exact plant that you are growing. And if this is purple, this plant's going to be purple. If this plant threw seeds, and I grew the seeds, it may not be purple. It may go back to whatever plant it was fertilized with, or it just might go back to a different plant, especially if they're hybrids. I don't know. So the thing is, if you want it purple and you can propagate it, do it yourself out of your garden. You know this plant likes your garden. This plant likes my garden. They say on the internet, these purple curly kales, they call them purple curly kales, red boar, there was all different names to it. They say they grow 3 feet tall. I've got a couple of them that are 6 and 7 feet tall. So obviously they get bigger than that if they're happy. You got a happy plant, make more happy plants. Have a great day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. Oh wow, I never ate this raw. Really good.